All right, hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. I'm back here with Andrew Egger. There was this news item out of the White House that I think is worth all of us kind of focusing on what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it. It's related to Andrew Tate. He's a self-described misogynist influencer. He's kind of like the worst of the bros in the manosphere. And he had been arrested in 2022. He was charged with human trafficking, sexual misconduct, and money laundering, as well as starting an organized crime group. He denies wrongdoing. But since then, he has had travel restrictions as a result of these charges by the Romanian authorities. And the Trump administration today decided that they wanted to get involved with that. They're pressuring the Romanians to lift the restrictions to let Andrew Tate free to spread his bile. Andrew, what do we, Andrew Egger, not Andrew Tate. What do you think about that? Your namesake.
I mean, this is one of those that's just like, can we get one story out of this White House that is not just like the stupidest, vilest, most like cruel, most evil? I just like, so this guy, I don't know. I don't, we were talking a little bit about this. I don't know like how much you have paid attention to Andrew Tate, but I mean like truly like the worst of the worst. This guy, the kind of person who like is just truly vile on a personal level in terms of like his own life. And then also just like an insanely toxic presence as like a member of the public life. He's a former kickboxer turned like in his own estimation drug pusher for a while, who then stood up a webcam business and made like an insane amount of money, basically pimping out women that he would like pick up across Europe, like poor women who he would like kind of entice into a supposed life of like luxury and just better things than they were accustomed to, who he would then basically like entrap into these abusive relationships and do webcam modeling for his company and make him a bunch of money. I mean, like it's like a bad person who then kind of became like you say, this manosphere influencer whose basic like message to a bunch of like to an audience of high school boys is basically like all of the things that are good about society are actually just shackles for you to cast off. No, you shouldn't work. You shouldn't like have a respectable, normal life. You need to realize that those things are constraints on alphas like you, and you need to like just go out and like be horrible to women and be a terror to your society, and just sort of like let your 14-year-old id like determine the rest of the course of your entire life. I mean, he's just like a bad person. I'm
a realist. When you're a realist, you're sexist. There's no way you can be rooted in reality and not be sexist. Women are intrinsically lazy.
You can't slander me, because I will state right now that I am absolutely sexist and I'm absolutely a misogynist.
Not only should women clean up, women should clean up unprompted. If you're the kind of person who feels like they need therapy, you're useless.
Never say go into bed. Go into bed is emasculate.
By masculine standards, the majority of beautiful women are losers.
I like Trump. He's grabbing bitches by the pussy. I like that guy.
There's no such thing as being an independent female. If you're going to be an alpha, you should be spreading your seed as wide as possible, not just with one woman. I mean, this is just a taste. I don't have it in front of me in this article, but like, I feel like he's also been kind of like anti-ephebophilia. Well,
that's a big part of the kind of like actual like criminal stuff against him, is that some of these girls that he was in a personal relationship with and then making perform for his company were underage at the time. I mean, just like.
So maybe ephebophilia. Maybe I was too kind to him to say,
but also like in his own personal, I mean, he has talked about all this stuff on podcasts and stuff. It's in his own voice all over the place, and like you continue to scratch, and it's just vile thing after vile thing. It's his whole brand. And he's been doing it for years. Anyway, the one other important thing is that he kind of likes Donald Trump, and so like that is kind of like the main thing here, right? Is like he's kind of like a test case, like an edge case maybe for like, is there any human being in the world who would embrace the Trump train, who Trump would not be like good enough for me? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the like
clearly no.
If Andrew Tate were Andrew Tate, down to his bones, but also weirdly like coconut pilled in the last cycle, I don't think he'd be getting the call. Maybe you disagree, Tim, but like don't you think that's kind of the main thing here? Is like he's just posting about Trump all the time, that gets you something in this day and age.
Yeah, I do. I think it's not a test; it's an affirmation of the fact that there is like not like there's no level of awful you could be that Trump and his cronies would not make apologies for you as long as you put on the MAGA hat. I think that that theory has been tested and proven true over and over again at this point. To me,
we're not even learning anything at this point, right? It's not like, oh, this shows us something new. It's just like yet another kicking the balls like. Everything sucks, like they're going to reward the best people or the worst people, just for, it's not great.
The thing that I think is I don't know if we're necessarily learning it, but I think that is interesting and maybe telling about the next few years of the Trump administration. And I think it's potentially a political vulnerability for them at some level is this to me shows two things. One, that they are going to be uber responsive to the desires of like the most online MAGA bros, right? Like if you are super, if you're like posting 80 bleats per day on Twitter or on Truth Social, and if you like know all of the characters in the extended MAGA universe, like your opinion is going to be heard in this White House. And I think that eventually becomes a vulnerability because I think that there are a lot of more casual Trump supporters who like didn't sign up for all this. Not that they're going to like be offended by the Andrew Tate thing in particular and micro. I just mean like as a mindset, it I think it's going to lead them to focus on some things that probably won't be politically advantageous. And the related is like just kind of obvious to your point. You've been kind of you've been on paternity leave here, so you have like a little bit more distance. So I'm curious your take on this, but like. You could have imagined a first month of the administration where Trump is like really digging in on econ stuff, right? Where he's like, and like he's picking his culture war fights over, and he still is going to do immigration and stuff, but picking cultural fights over economy related things, doing the type of thing he did like a little bit of the first couple of days, like having press conferences with rich guys about how they're going to invest into the economy and, doing all this talk about how people are going to get rich and the stock market's going to go up. And like, he's not really doing that. Like they've been spending most of their energy on Gulf of America and like shit like this. And I think that if the economy doesn't improve, right, like this is not a short-term thing, but I think that if people's lives, if they do not feel like their economic lives are getting better, like eventually, not with the core weirdos, but with kind of the broader public, it's going to be kind of like, why are you guys doing all that? Like why aren't we focused more on the actual material needs? And I think that becomes a little bit of a vulnerability for them over time. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I do think that's true. Like, I think that if the question is like, does Trump retain or does he lose the median voter that he won over in 2024? I think a lot of that stuff ends up, and it at least has the possibility of coming back to hurt him. But I don't know. I've been thinking about this stuff a lot actually while I've been kind of like out and just kind of turning it over in my mind because it seems like all the normies in my life, one, are just either not noticing it yet, like not paying attention to really any of this stuff. And it's weird. It's like an intensified version of what was going on during the campaign where he would just promise to do the most insane stuff. And by the time it kind of filtered down to the normal level, like people couldn't almost believe that he'd even said those things because like, well, that'd be crazy, right? So like at some point in the chain of information, it must have gotten a little garbled and like probably he said something that I would have agreed with, right? And now he's actually doing the things and it's still kind of the same, right? It's still kind of like, well, they're out there, they're trying to find the waste and the fraud and all that stuff. And I guess you're right. Like if the economy doesn't improve, that's a thing that cuts through those narratives and maybe has a chance to shake people loose. But I do think like, I don't know. I don't know how far Wile E. Coyote can run off of the cliff and just keep pedaling. Maybe he flies now. Maybe he just never plummets, and it's just this is just the way it is from now on. I'm dooming a little. Maybe I'm dooming too much. It's my first day back. I'm just kind of crabby. You're
in comfortable company for dooming here, as we have again one of. I'm talking a lot about how the worst Americans are in charge now, and I guess Andrew is technically an American because he was born here, but then he moved overseas. But like one of the worst world citizens, one of the
Andrew
worst.
Tate.
What did I say?
Well, I just thought you meant me when you said Andrew.
Oh, no, Andrew Tate. Yeah, no, I'm not including you as one of the worst world citizens. Andrew Tate, one of the worst world citizens, potentially getting a bonus from Donald Trump getting in and having his travel restrictions for, again, human trafficking, sexual misconduct, and money laundering lifted. So we'll see how that shakes out. We'll keep monitoring it. Andrew Egger, thanks for hanging out with me. Subscribe to the feed. Hey, YouTube fam, if you want to support the Bulwark, the best way to do it is by becoming a YouTube Bulwark Plus member. The Bulwark is truly independent. We have no corporate overlords. We're not settling any dumb lawsuits with Trump. By joining, you help support our work, and you can get a bunch of perks right here on this platform. Ad-free content, bonus videos, live streams, and some emojis of me, which I guess some people want. So come join, come hang out, become a Bulwark YouTube Plus member, and I'll be seeing you in the comments. So behave.